Yeah, in the Netherlands, a lot of pesticides become restricted, mainly because we see they are very detrimental for the ecosystem. And we find them back in nature areas. We find the effect of species loss. So there are more and more rules, so farmers also need to change in that perspective. We're now at the Droevendaal farm. This is one of the experimental farms of the Wageningen University. It's organic. We have been trying out strip cropping here for the past 6 years. Actually, we started in the Netherlands with strip cropping as a first step in diversifying your field. And this first step is possible because we do it on the level of the width of the machines. So here at the farm we all had 3-meter machines, which is why we chose for 3-meter wide strips in the strip cropping. So it has to be a system that is very practical for farmers to implement, and they don't have to invest a lot to start this system. Our general rotation is a 6-year rotation with 1 leguminous crop, or actually 2, 1 rest year, so we don't take any nutrients from the field or not too much, and we let the soil rest.
So basically we grow these 6 crops either in monocultures, which are like 70 meters by 70 meters, or we try to grow them in pairs in strip cropping fields that are 3 meters wide strips, so that we have more diversity within the same amount of space. We also have some treatments in which we grow all 6 crops next to each other, so that within a smaller space we have all the 6 crops together. And then we try to go even further. Basically we have a strip cropping fields with cereals and cabbages, but one thing that we are going to test now is to exchange the 2 external rows of the cabbages for fennels, because we saw that some farmers told us that when the cabbages grow next to the fennels, the pest abundance is lower and the damage on the crop is lower. And another experiment we are going to do also in the cabbage system is to see if we can boost even more biocontrol by incorporating some flowers within the strips, so that we can boost the natural enemy population and decrease the pest on the crops. We are testing the lobularia plants and we combine it with the release of a natural enemy that is specific against thrips.
2 years before we tried it a bit more like an undersowing of flowers. That did work for the purpose, but it was practically not working very well. Then we used buckwheat and 2 other species, but they didn't develop very well in the field.
Yeah, but then we try to put the buckwheat to provide some floral nectar to the parasitoids, and we measure in the same strips the parasitism rate of Lepidopteran species on the cabbage. We do see a benefit, but we think it was limited compared to the problem of having buckwheats within your strips. Then it's hard for the farmer to manage, of course. We try to have really a system approach, because we do think that things are really interlinked, and if you try to look at things in an isolated way, sometimes it's very hard to understand what's happening. I think there are below ground processes that are involved, and also one pest in one crop might be actually beneficial for another crop, and you might fail to see that if you only look at your specific crop and your specific pest. Crop diversity was in use before the monoculture, so before the Green Revolution, it was the original way of doing things. I don't think it's a silver bullet solution, but I do think that increasing the diversity in your fields does create a more stable system and does have a lower impact on the environment.
In our farm network of the crop mix project, we have 28 farmers, of which half are conventional. There we do hear stories from the farmers that they say, I spray less in my strip cropping field than in my monocultural fields, but it's very hard to pinpoint the reason of that, because it can also just be a feeling, or that they might be trusting the system more. For most of the farmers, the strip cropping is just a small part of their whole farm, so they have one field of strips that is like 5-10 hectares, and then they have monocultures. So in their income they might also rely less on the strip cropping, which might also be a reason that they can try more in these fields. We don't see yet that they can earn a lot more money with this system. So the benefits are really on biodiversity level, and also we see partly some benefits on crops. But not that clear.
They're trying to see if you have a more stable yield throughout the years, and I can see that it has good reasoning for that. We tend to have higher ecosystem services or ecosystem functioning. If you have strips that are 15 meters, 16 meters, 30 meters, does it still have an effect? And sometimes for some of the organisms we study, we see that you can also have relatively larger strips but still have an effect of the microclimate or have an effect for the insects. So I think that's might still be relevant without impacting too much on the workload for the farmer.
Regarde celle-là, il y en a beaucoup. Il y a vraiment beaucoup de pucerons. Tu as le favoriser aphid, c'est un puceron qui est vraiment typique sur la gourgane. C'est rempli, puis si vous voyez, il y a comme plein de coccinelles là-dedans. Fait que ça, c'est vraiment cool parce que ça te fait comme une banque d'ennemis naturels qui sont présents. Donc, si on a une culture à côté, là, éventuellement, il va en avoir à côté, mais ils sont déjà présents très tôt en saison. Donc, après ça, ils vont pouvoir transférer puis aller sur l'autre culture. Je le voyais beaucoup plus comme une barrière un peu plus physique, une barrière olfactive, où le ravageur, il va comme pas trouver la culture d'intérêt, mais dans ce cas-ci, c'est pas tant ça le mécanisme d'action, c'est beaucoup plus le contrôle biologique, donc vraiment d'avoir d'autres proies alternatives qui vont attirer les ennemis naturels pour transférer par la suite.
Donc, il y a peut-être un effet intéressant au niveau des brise-vents. Fait que, surtout en terre noire, par exemple, une bande de cette culture-là, à une hauteur de même. Puis plus tard, nous autres, par exemple, dans la laitue, certaines cultures, on plante jusqu'au début du mois d'août. On pourrait s'en débarrasser en juillet, par exemple, et après ressemer en bande certaines cultures.
When you have a more diverse system, the system is less disturbed, and then you have a more stable population of natural enemies, of insects, of birds, and we think this might support the productivity as well of the system, or at least buffer the production losses.